What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/tales from the law. Alright, this story's called Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. I just ate peanut butter. The folks from r/malicious compliance thought this would fit here. Years ago, my wife had a one-person landlord-tenant law practice here in the US. It was basically a one-person show, so if my wife had to go to court, the office was empty. Not usually a big deal, as this was the type of practice that was mostly done by cell phone and laptop. Technically, it was a two-person partnership law practice, but my participation was limited to reviewing contracts and going to court once in a while if she had two cases at the same time. So there was one tenant client who had a dispute with her deposit and damages. Long story short, not only would her landlord not give the deposit back, but claimed there were extra damages. Our case was weak, as our client didn't have proof that the damages in the apartment were pre-existing or caused by external forces. A window was allegedly cracked by a tree branch from the outside. Now, in my state, if the landlord does not provide a detailed list of the damages or the deposit within 30 days, automatically the landlord has statutorily failed his or her role and now owes double the deposit. Guess who didn't comply with the statute? The now double deposit amount exceeded what the landlord was demanding, so we were willing to settle for the difference. Nope, mediation fails and we go to the judge. Now, before I continue, this landlord was an arrogant son of a boardwalk who did not know the law. He was a computer engineer who thought his didn't smell, and the rental was just a second investment property. I got involved at one point, tried to explain the law when offering the deal, but no dice. He thought a law firm that didn't even have regular office hours during the business day, not really required in our line of work, really only needed the office as a space nicer than Starbucks to meet with clients, and rules at the time required us to have a physical office in the state, was too far beneath him. Now, the way the LT court works in my state is that you have 2 rounds of mediation before you see a judge. Most cases settle before you get to the judge, so if it gets that far, the judge is looking to see who is being unreasonable. The judge rules for the landlord, though he disagrees with some of the cost estimates and awards him with a bit less money, but reminds the landlord that he owes double the deposit, so he needs to give tenant the difference from the award, but less than the double deposit amount, which is more than what we would have had to pay if he had just accepted our offer. Landlord doesn't agree with the judge's findings and appeals. Larger court filing fees for landlord right off the bat. When my wife gets the paperwork, she sees he screwed up the appeal. Since she wasn't his lawyer, she didn't have to tell him he screwed up. She didn't even have to respond to the court since the appeal wasn't properly submitted. Instead, she quietly put a lien on the property for the judgment, added a fee for the extra paperwork involving the fee, and went on her merry way. We never heard again about the appeal. Years go by. One day, we get an email from the landlord. By that time, we had actually closed up the physical office, as rules regarding physical offices in our state had eased to reflect that many smaller attorneys now can work remotely with just a laptop and a cell phone. On the rare occasion she needed a place nicer than Starbucks, my wife would borrow a conference room from one of our lawyer friends, asking us to remove the lien as he is selling the property. Gladly, just pay the judgment and fees. Landlord refuses and hires his own lawyer to fight us. This time, we have the strong case. We simply email the attorney the paperwork and how everything was proper on our end, and it's not our fault landlord tried to play lawyer without seeking legal advice. I'm not sure what the landlord told his attorney, but I like to think I could hear the attorney's eyes roll when he looked at our paperwork while realizing he just made a nice little piece of money for doing almost no work. Long story short, our client gets her money, we get our legal fee, and landlord gets a bill from the attorney that he hired that probably negated whatever the judge awarded landlord. Postscript. Someone in my original post asked why we didn't immediately move to force the landlord to sell the house to immediately satisfy the judgment. I forget why, this was quite a few years ago. There probably was a mortgage on the property that had seniority, and forcing a sale would have been more trouble than it was worth. It wasn't that much money, under $2,000, and the client was fine with waiting. Made a nice surprise when she finally got the money that we had all forgotten about. See, I have very limited experience with landlords. We used to live in this rental house. It was pretty nice, and the landlord was this really grumpy old guy who, was kind of a jerk. I'm curious, do y'all have any landlord stories where they were either really great or really poopy, like this guy, who seemed like kind of a dummy head jerk person? Alright, this story's called The Theater of Eviction. How I spent 20 minutes convincing a choosing beggar that laws are real. I'm a clerk on a Brazilian court, and I swear to God, everyone is crazy here. A citizen walks to the counter. He's an angry-looking male in his late 30s.
I want to know if this eviction warrant is real.
He has a very official court document in his hands. His fingers are bleeding and staining the paper, by the way. I think he punched someone on the way here. Yes, it is.
And do they have the right to do that?
Well, if the judge signed a freaking eviction warrant, then yes. But as the man is nervous and I hate to send people away just to have them come back later and annoy me again, I take a look at his lawsuit so I can explain how everything happened. It's a digital file, so it's easy to take a general look and understand the situation. After browsing through his case, I assure him that the homeowner has every right to do it. He then starts his personal drama.
The owner has been threatening me via WhatsApp. That's why I'm not sure if this eviction is real.
I can do nothing about that, sir. But it is.
They are evicting us right now, but I decided to come here because I thought it was fishy. No one asked to listen to our side. Then this apparitor suddenly shows up.
Yes, and it's real.
The lawyer did that before. He said he would kick us out, but my mother-in-law put up a fight and made him leave. Can he really do this? She's an old woman.
If you're not paying the rent, then yes.
We only didn't pay the rent because we didn't know who to pay after the guy died, but we've been paying the property taxes. He doesn't pay them.
Well, then you can sue him over that, and maybe get a discount on your debt regarding the rent.
So I can't solve it here, now?
Why do they always think that a few minutes talking to a mere court clerk will solve all their legal problems? No, you need to get a lawyer and documents proving that you paid those.
A lot of people went to the house and claimed to be the owner. Who should I pay? That's why I didn't pay.
You should pay to the one you signed the contract with.
So I don't live in the house. I came here to see it for my ex-mother-in-law. My daughter lives there. The court apparator, I don't know how to pronounce things as a character, says she'll call the CPS on my kid. My kid is not unattended. She has everything. She has clothes. She's not starving. We're getting a new house right now. I just need more time. This is all too sudden.
Oh, so his kid has everything. Except, apparently, a roof. When he says this is sudden, I explain to him that his ex-mother-in-law hasn't paid rent since early 2017, and that they were notified about the eviction many times before, over a year ago. The eviction, per se, only took this long because the plaintiff is also being sued by a third party who claims he does not own this property. Still, the tenants had to figure out who to pay instead of never paying since they moved. There's a special procedure for that. They could just send the money to a court account monthly until the real owner was established.
The apparator isn't being impartial. She only listens to the owner's lawyer. She denies everything we say. She won't consider our side. Is that right? Can she do that? Why is she with him? I think it's very strange that they arrived together.
Your side is that you haven't paid your rent since March 2017, dear. What else is there to hear? She's only following the judge's orders. They arrived together because the owner, or his legal representative, needs to be there with the apparator. You had the opportunity to explain your side back in 2017 when you got the subpoena.
So she's actually from this court?
No, she's a hired actor to antagonize and scare you. Yes.
But, say, the apparitor is rushing us to move. This is too little time to get a new house. Those things take time, you know. We're doing all we can, but she doesn't have compassion. You know how moving houses is. I'm only asking her to be calm, and she's threatening to call CPS to take my daughter. We didn't know he would be evicted this soon.
You were notified of voluntary vacancy, right? You knew you had 10 business days.
Yeah, but it isn't enough to get a new house.
But you've known for over a year that you're about to be evicted, damn it! He then babbled some more about the apparitor calling the CPS on his kid. She'd only call the CPS to make sure your daughter is okay, sir. And she can't wait that long because she has plenty of other warrants to execute. Now that he was finally convinced that the eviction was real, he became the most annoying choosing beggar I have ever dealt with.
But the owner only rented one moving truck. We have a lot of stuff. I've been asking him to get 2 more trucks, but he won't. It's my right to ask that, isn't it?
The alleged owner was honestly too kind. His responsibility over the eviction is providing the means to empty the house, aka people to carry stuff. It's not up to him to move all the tenants' crap to their new address. No, the owner only needs to provide the means to take your belongings out of his house. He just cannot believe that after living in a house for free for over 2 years, he won't even get all his stuff moved for free. This part about him not getting 2 more moving trucks is repeated for a ridiculously long amount of time, until I sent him off advising that he should probably rent the other trucks he needs and leave the complaining, but at least not at me. I truly love how in my job, sometimes nothing out of the ordinary happens for weeks. Then, in a minute, I'm in a madhouse. Who else wants like a carnival-themed horror game that's genuinely scary? I'm not scared of clowns, but make me scared of clowns. I'm sorry, that was very irrelevant, but like, that sounds cool. This story, this story is a good story. Must be a pretty entertaining job to have at times, like they said. Seriously though, imagine like a AAA carnival-themed horror game. Just like genuinely scary. Alright, this story's called A Public Hospital is Spending Thousands to Sue a Couple for Moral Damages. I'm a clerk in Brazil, and I'm constantly screaming, "What the frick?" at my computer screen. This is one of those times. So the first thing you need to know is that suing someone here is not like in the US. The plaintiff pays for everything until the other party is proven guilty. And if they don't have a house, a car, or a penny to their name, they'll just walk away unharmed, except for their credit score. To be honest, unless you're a bank or a big business, it's not worth suing people. The system is super lenient with the deadbeats or civil offenders. To grant universal access to the justice system, if you're really poor, literally living on minimum wage, you can be exempted of court costs. Of course, a lot of people who can afford it ask for exemption, even some businesses. This hospital is public, but administrated by a non-profit third party. They are in huge debt. Their complaint was 151 pages long, full of screenshots and such. They accuse a couple of reaching thousands of people through social media, offering the honor, image, reputation, and history of the institution, causing immeasurable damage to the staff. What happened? A couple complained on Facebook and YouTube about how the woman was treated during childbirth, because her labor took 21 hours. At first, the doctors tried to induce a natural childbirth, and it took the doctors over half a day to finally decide for the C-section. This is standard procedure in the public health system. You can't demand a C-section if the doctor sees the possibility of avoiding it. Not only because the natural childbirth is cheaper, but also because C-sections are more risky and harder to recover from. This protocol is meant to preserve resources and the integrity of the mother's body. To summarize it, Everyone is being a bit crazy here. The couple makes awful accusations, but their complaints haven't reached a significant number of people. The hospital's lawyer, of course, is being super dramatic about how the population's trust on the hospital is completely shattered due to a little Facebook post. The couple's Facebook post had 52 reactions and 39 comments, while the YouTube video had 1,373 views since February and a few comments. Not thousands of people. It was this couple's first daughter, and they clearly underestimated how extremely hard childbirth can be. Obviously, the woman was hysterical. In the video, she said things like, "I suffered obstetric violence. The doctors are killing our children. The hospital directors cover it all up. My daughter suffered attempted murder." She claims that her daughter suffered the consequences of inhuman treatment, although she doesn't say what problems her daughter might have. It's a total train wreck. I absolutely stand by our free healthcare system, SUS. It saves countless lives when it comes to surgeries, serious diseases, traffic accidents, etc. in emergencies. But it's not good enough for daily needs. So, if you plan to have a child, it's highly advisable to get at least a basic health insurance plan who will cover OBGYN and pediatrician appointments. Most women who go through childbirth on SUS have complaints about it taking too long, so that's at least to be expected. SUS is highly understaffed, so if you can afford private healthcare for such an important moment, you really should opt for it. That's the common sense here. Anyway, the hospital asked Facebook and YouTube to remove the content, but they didn't, because it didn't violate their policies. So, the hospital notarized the video, spending roughly 700 Brazilian reals, roughly $175, to register the woman accusing and bad-mouthing the hospital, word by word. Their lawyer asked for the removal of the content in notadal terra parte, but the judge didn't grant it. I'm sorry for no fancy Latin pronunciation. Let me say it again. They are super butthurt about a video that got less than 1,500 views in 7 months. For that, the hospital is spending a lot of money on court costs, advocate hours, and stuff. They require the couple pays 50,000 Brazilian reals, or $12,500, in reparation, when everyone who works with lawsuits knows that, unless someone died, you don't get more than 10,000. Just so you know, if you ask for an X reparation and the judge decides for less than 50% of that, the court costs and paying the other lawyer are on you. This couple needed to resort to a public hospital for childbirth. You just know that even if the hospital wins, no money will come from that. The hospital is so damn screwed. Also, I wonder, so what if some people stop going to this public hospital? Doesn't it mean that they will save resources? No one says, well, a woman I don't know said this hospital is bad. I'd better die quietly in my house. Why the hell are they so concerned? The hospital is also criminally charging the couple and everyone who claimed to go through inhuman treatment there on the YouTube comments. And the couple is suing the city on their daughter's behalf. These litigations will probably take years. All of them started in the last couple of months, but I'll eventually post an update if anyone is interested. The hearing is sure to be a total crap show. Honestly, this guy should be a show writer. Like, he should have a show based entirely on this. And a majority of it takes place in, his office or whatever the hell he works at, the counter thing. Would that not be really cool? I would watch it if it was just a bunch of stories like this. He could use stuff from his past. He could make stuff up. This would be good content that I would watch. Like, this stuff is crazy.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.